Well, in most ensembles, the front ensemble is responsible for providing melodic contour to the ensemble. Without them, we would only have a battery, which drums are pretty cool, but we like the melodic side of things.
The battery can do a lot of melodic things on their instruments, but for the pit, you know, you're not really going to have the tune by B.O.B. stuck in your head so much if the pit weren't playing it. So we get to perform a lot of the melodic lines for the show and give the audience a tune to listen to while the battery's back there providing a lot of the visual program and adding more rhythmic momentum and different melodic contour on what they can do with their instruments. So from the front ensemble's perspective, more melody, and we're called the front ensemble because we stand in the front of the ensemble. So we have a different performance role. We don't have drill charts, we're not moving around the floor, but we can still add a lot to the performance element of the show.
You know, being in the pit, we face a lot of challenges, both environmentally and like when we have to listen to each other as well as listen back, because it can change if we're supposed to listen to the bass drums that are directly behind us, and then 4 phrases later they could be at the back of the floor, and that drastically changes, you know, with the way sound travels. So that's really on Denise. She's our center marimba. That's really her job to listen back, and then all of the rest of us listen in, and the way we make that work is we move together. That's really the biggest indicator, because when you have, like if the marimbas aren't playing and you have the vibraphones just playing by themselves, there's about 20 feet between them, and that's really hard to play together. So the best way to do that is just moving to the music, which is also more visually entertaining, you know. It's definitely cooler to see a pit that rocks out than just stands there.
This is what Oliver does in his free time.
Where's Casey?
Instead of teching the pit.
What?
Mallet art.
She's sleeping? Go wake her up.
Go wake her up.
Mallet art.
Wake up Casey.
Balance.
Well, in the NorthCoast Academy percussion ensemble, we can use a lot of different implements to get different sounds. In the front ensemble, we have our mallets arranged in our mallet bags, and they normally range from softer mallets to hard mallets, and we'll use different kinds of mallets for different parts of our competition show to get different sounds.
It both has to do with the yarn that they use, and also what they put inside of the yarn. We call that the core. They can also make different shafts of the mallet. There's, you know, several different types of wood that they can use, which makes it more comfortable depending on what you're playing for the performer. And each different core makes a different noise. Some have rubber, some have plastic, wood. They're all going to create different sounds.
You'll have softer mallets, which you notice have a longer sound and are less articulate. Maybe something like this. You can especially hear the difference on the vibraphone because you can hear how it rings differently. And sometimes for different parts of the show, we'll use harder mallets. You can hear how it has a different articulation and a different sound. Right now, our vibraphones use primarily maybe 3 to 4 types of mallet in the show. We can also use different mallets for warm-ups. So we have 6 different types of mallets that we have for our vibraphones right now. I think the marimbas have even more than that. For our outside marimbas, which are 5-octave marimbas, I think they have maybe 10 to 12 different kinds of mallets in their mallet bag because they have a wider range. That's another thing to consider when you're choosing mallets, is the range of the instrument.
If you're using a very abrasive mallet, it's not going to sound very good at the very bottom range of either a vibraphone or a marimba.
Doesn't really kind of have the sound that we want, but sometimes in the higher part of the instrument it sounds better. It's not quite as aggressive. So for the 5-octave marimbas, they have more mallets because they have a wider range on their instrument and more things to choose from for different parts of the show.
Hey guys, what's up? So when we go to shows, we have 2 trucks. We have a big truck, which is this one, and then we have a small truck, which is over somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it right up there where everybody else is. Yeah. So what we do is we kind of decide what's going to go on what truck. So we have all the keyboards on this truck, and then we have like the electronics and other drums on there. We have a couple like snare drums and stuff on here too. Then we have truck loading captains. So for example, myself and Tony Lopez are the truck loading captains for this truck. So we're the ones that are going to hang out on here and kind of determine where things are going to go. And we're like, hey, give me that keyboard. And then they're like, okay, here's that keyboard. We're really good at packing. We actually fit 2 marimbas in a Honda Pilot. So we're pretty good. But we can fit all of our keyboards on this truck. So that's 8 keyboards. And that's a lot. And then if you like look way back, you can see like there's snare drums and carriers up there, and then we actually have 2 of the top bass drums up there as well. So we can fit a lot of stuff on these trucks. Once we get everything out here, it takes maybe 15 minutes, I would say, but I mean, breaking stuff down is the process that kind of takes a while. I'm gonna go load this truck because that's my job. Catch you later.
What led me to be a mallet player? I actually started with the WGI indoor drumline activity when I was in high school. I was a flute player in marching band, and I didn't really like playing the flute, and I had a couple friends in the pit, and they're like, you should join the front ensemble, it'd be a lot of fun. You know how to play piano, you can read the notes. So I said, okay, and I tried 1 marching band season in the pit, but really after learning more about it, I wanted to be in the drumline. So I actually played tenors the rest of my high school marching band career, and when I went to college at Michigan State, I realized WGI was still an important part of who I was, and I wanted to give it another shot. I knew of NorthCoast Academy, thought it might be kind of neat to try out, and I tried out for the pit, not really knowing as much as I thought I needed to for the group, but they gave me a chance anyway, and now here I am 5 years later, aging out as section leader, so it's been a pretty awesome experience.
Here at NorthCoast, we take everything seriously.